In the early days, Matthew drew a line in the sand, no job for me. He insisted it wasn't necessary, but I had other plans. Determined to carve out my own space, I reminded him that managing Elena and the household left my free time entirely mine to manage, or so I thought. As my paycheck grew, so did his bitterness. Accusations flew like daggers. He claimed I was abandoning my duties at home, even as I juggled work and motherhood with every ounce of strength I possessed. The emotional weight pressed down on me like a storm cloud, yet I held firm. My resolve? Save enough money to one day escape this suffocating marriage. When arguments failed, Matthew turned to manipulation, using our daughter as his weapon of choice. He taught Elena words meant to wound, the kind that sliced through a mother's heart, and encouraged her to hurl them when defiance struck. Why listen to Mom? He seemed to whisper into her ear, planting seeds of doubt about my love. To Elena, he became the fun-loving parent, while I remained the enforcer of rules, the bearer of boundaries. If you're wondering why I didn't intervene more forcefully, trust me, I tried. But daughters often gravitate toward their fathers, don't they? And Elena chose to believe Matthew's narrative over mine. Fast forward to Elena's 15th year, a moment that still haunts me. By sheer accident, I stumbled upon her secret while walking into the bathroom. There she was, snapping selfies, oblivious to my presence. When I confiscated her phone, the truth spilled forth, messages exchanged with a 23-year-old man, each one laced with inappropriate intent. Confronting her, I demanded answers, only to be met with fury. She screamed, accusing me of invading her privacy, but I couldn't back down. Calling the stranger, I asked if he knew her age. His shock was palpable. He swore ignorance, apologized profusely, and promised to sever all contact. Yet Elena unleashed a torrent of venom, calling me cruel, selfish, and wishing I were dead before retreating to her room. When Matthew arrived, I recounted everything, expecting outrage. Instead, his calm demeanor raised alarms. Probing further, I uncovered the truth. He'd known about Elena's relationship all along. Though unaware of the man's age, Matthew dismissed my concerns with chilling indifference, labeling such behavior normal for teenagers. That night, something inside me snapped. I declared my intention to leave, but Matthew laughed it off, calling me dramatic and irrational. Unfazed, I packed my bags, bolstered by savings and an inheritance from my late grandparents. Freedom felt within reach, until Elena refused to join me. "You're tearing apart this family," she spat, choosing her father's promises of indulgence over my guidance. Heartbroken, I pleaded with her, but her rejection stung like ice. Matthew mocked me as I walked out, taunting me with cruel parting words. Leaving her behind shredded my soul, but I vowed to set things right. With a skilled lawyer by my side, I filed for divorce, asking for nothing but peace. Matthew, however, demanded repayment for years of support, an absurd claim given my sacrifices as a homemaker. His audacity stunned me, yet his demands didn't stop there. As the legal battle raged, Matthew played his final card, custody of Elena. In court, she echoed his lies, painting me as controlling and abusive. My attempts to expose her reckless choices fell flat against their united front. The judge sided with Matthew, granting him full custody and saddling me with exorbitant child support payments. Crushed under the verdict, I struggled to rebuild my life amidst mounting debts and shattered dreams. Confronting Elena later, I hoped for reconciliation. Instead, she sneered, reveling in what she saw as poetic justice. "You deserve this," she said coldly, dismissing my efforts to protect her. Her disdain cut deeper than any blade. Promising her his inheritance, Matthew had won her loyalty completely. Realizing the futility of fighting for someone who no longer wanted me, I made a silent vow: if this was her choice, then so be it. For 3 years, I've paid child support, drowning in debt but clinging to the hope of closure. For 3 years, I trudged through life like a soldier carrying an invisible weight, child support payments ticking away like clockwork, each one chipping at my resolve. Missing even one felt like tempting fate, a gamble I couldn't afford with fines and courtrooms lurking in the shadows. But then came the day Elena turned 18, and just like that, she became her father's sole responsibility. Freedom stretched before me, vast and unburdened. Yet those 3 years? They were brutal, a relentless storm of sleepless nights and quiet tears. Still, I clawed my way forward, earning promotions and building a life that hummed with independence. My flat became a sanctuary, its walls wrapping around me like a cocoon of peace. Not once did Matthew or Elena reach out, Not a call, not a text, not even a fleeting thought crossing their minds to bridge the chasm they created. Until yesterday. The shrill ring of the doorbell shattered the calm. I opened the door to find Elena standing there, her face etched with unease. Time froze. 3 years melted into nothing as shock rippled through me. She offered a hesitant smile, asking if she could come in. Speechless, I stepped aside, letting her cross the threshold. The air crackled with tension as she moved inside, her movements stiff, uncertain. Every creak of the floorboards seemed deafening in the silence. We sat across from each other, the gulf between us wider than the room itself. Minutes dragged by, heavy and awkward, until finally, she broke the stillness. Her voice trembled as she began to speak, her words tumbling out like stones dropped into a pond, sending ripples through the fragile atmosphere. "I'm sorry," she whispered, her eyes brimming with unshed tears. Apologies poured forth, raw and halting, as she recounted the pain she'd inflicted during those turbulent teenage years. It was surreal, watching this grown version of my daughter unravel the tangled threads of our fractured past. Then, with a deep breath, she revealed the truth about her life with Matthew. Her father, it seemed, had moved on swiftly after the divorce, diving headfirst into a new relationship. His girlfriend, icy and indifferent, clashed constantly with Elena, turning their home into a battleground. And when his new baby arrived, Elena might as well have vanished. He stopped caring, she confessed, her voice cracking under the weight of betrayal. He never cared about what I liked or wanted, but now he doesn't care at all. Her hands twisted nervously in her lap, her anguish palpable. This was no longer the defiant girl who'd screamed hatred at me, this was someone searching for answers, for solace. But where did that leave us? Could wounds this deep ever truly heal? The storm erupted when the stepmother hurled accusations at Elena, claiming she'd tried to harm the baby out of jealousy. A blatant lie, Elena insisted, yet somehow, her father swallowed the deceit whole. Matthew turned his back on his own flesh and blood, banishing Elena from his home after heated arguments that left scars deeper than words could carve. As she recounted the fallout, her voice quivered like a fragile thread stretched too thin, tears spilling freely. Vulnerability radiated off her in waves as she pleaded with me, her mother, to forgive, to forget, to let her back into my life. She argued it was my duty, wasn't it? My heart wrestled between compassion and fury, confusion swirling like fog over a battlefield. But how could I erase years of betrayal? As she sat there, tears streaming down her cheeks, begging for support, my resolve hardened like stone against the tide. I reminded her of the debt she'd indirectly saddled me with during the divorce, the lies she told, the toll they took on my life. "Do you know what it felt like," I said, my tone measured but firm, "to work myself to the bone paying child support while you lived comfortably with him?" With a polite smile that masked the tempest within, I told her she wasn't welcome until she found a way to clear the financial wreckage she'd helped create. Her protests came swift, sharp, she had no one else to turn to. "That's not my problem," I replied coldly, rising to open the door. Shock flickered across her face as she stepped out, disbelief clinging to her like shadows. Part of me stood firm, fortified by memories of the pain she'd inflicted, the custody battle, the crushing weight of child support payments. Yet another part, a quieter, softer fragment, ached for her. Was I wrong to shut her out after everything? The comments I read online weighed on me, few though they were. Each word nudged me toward action, a serious conversation with Matthew loomed ahead. It saddened me to see how deeply he'd manipulated our daughter, severing ties I once thought unbreakable. When I called Elena later, she revealed she was staying with her boyfriend. I promised her I'd speak to Matthew, determined to untangle this mess. Yesterday, steeling myself, I dialed Matthew's number. The call crackled with tension as I dove straight into the heart of the matter, Elena's unexpected visit and the revelations she shared. Matthew's defenses flared, he claimed exhaustion from the constant clashes between his wife and Elena, even suggesting Elena posed a danger to his newborn. Anger surged through me, hot and unrelenting. "She's your daughter," I shot back. "The same girl who lied for you, who looked up to you. You can't just discard her." I demanded proof beyond his wife's accusations, urging him to hear Elena's side. Beneath his stubbornness, guilt flickered faintly, a crack in his armor. Slowly, reluctantly, he began to listen. An apology slipped past his lips, hollow but present. I suggested Elena stay with her grandparents, and after some resistance, he agreed. Relief washed over me like sunlight breaking through clouds. Today, Elena texted to say she's safe with them. Small steps, perhaps, but progress nonetheless. 4 months have passed since then, and change has bloomed like spring flowers pushing through winter frost. Surprisingly, Elena chose to return to Matthew's house after he apologized face-to-face and confronted his new wife about treating Elena better. Harmony now hums softly in their home, replacing the discord of before. Elena seems lighter, more confident, her laughter returning like music long silenced. We've met a few times, awkward moments lingering like ghosts, but I understand forgiveness takes time. Contrary to popular belief, I haven't reconciled with Matthew. I doubt I ever will. That chapter remains closed. But with Elena, bridges are slowly being rebuilt. She's realized her mistakes, and I'm proud of the person she's becoming. Our bond strengthens with each passing day, brick by careful brick. Challenges still linger on the horizon, but hope shines brighter now, guiding us forward.